Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Nancy and I am doing my follow-up video for last night's Stamp War. So if you missed it, I will put the video at the end for your replay enjoyment. Our contestants had to take this stamp from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. It's called Sunflower Sunshine, and they had to make different sizes. Each one was assigned a different size card. So there's a 5x7 card, which I believe was Tracy. Ryan did a 6x6. Chow did a slimline, and Stacy did an A2. And they each had to use a different medium. So one had color pencils, markers, watercoloring, and pan pastels. So check their videos out as well. They will each have a follow-up video for you to watch as well. And on my video, I think I'll do some brush marker kind of watercoloring. We'll see how that works out for me. And you're going to comment at the end of this video, and one of you guys will win this actual stamp set. But don't fret, I actually have quite a few giveaways. So comment, comment, comment. And I have other Blue Knight Rubber Stamps I'll be giving away, as well as some other goodies provided by Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. So keep on watching. So I'm going to be using my Corrine brush markers here. I purchased these for myself for Christmas and really have not had too much time to play with them. So I'm going to pull out a piece of Distress watercolor paper from Ranger because it has a smooth side as well as a textured side. And I want to stamp on the smooth side. So I have my Tim Holtz platform here. I'm going to pull my sticky grid out because it does have a piece of paper already stuck to it. And we're going to put this, so we don't want the textured side, we want the smooth side. Just going to shove that in the corner. I have the lid set to the rubber side, and this stamp comes with a large sunflower field background here. And then it has 3 little bees and then 2 sentiments. The sentiments say, "You are my sunshine," and "Oh, the joys of those who trust the Lord." Okay, and there's a little piece of sticky grid there, so I don't need to reattach that. I do need to make sure my magnet's out of the way. All right, and then for stamping this, I am going to be watercoloring it. I am going to be using my Catherine Pooler Midnight ink. I love this ink on rubber stamps. It doesn't stain the rubber stamps the way it does the photopolymer stamps, but we'll get a nice dark image and it will dry and we'll be able to watercolor on it. I am also using my Blue Knight Rubber Stamps Universal Magnetic Handle. And you can go pick those up. And you have a small discount code. It's SW15. So for Stamp Wars 15, SW15 for 15% off at Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. That will expire Saturday, February 27th, 2021. For those of you that are watching this video, you only have until Saturday, February 27th, 2021 to use that. Okay. That actually looks pretty good. I'm going to leave the stamp on the lid. I like to do double stamping. I'm just going to pull the lid off. That's what's nice about the Tim Holtz platform, is I can remove it and do my watercoloring in here. I have a little piece of paper towel off to the side, and I'm going to bring in a water brush. I'm going to heat set this real quick. Okay, and basically all I'm going to do is do a little wet area, my water brush, make sure water is coming out of that. And just take my marker, this one's called Canary number 166. Now, this method will work if you have the Arteza Real Brush markers. If you have the Zig markers, the Zig markers have a finer point. If you have Tombow markers, if you have the Tim Holtz Distress markers, which I think those are discontinued now. Anything that you have that is a water-based marker, you can do this same technique. Now, I find it is easier for me if I do small areas and then go back and pull the ink out. If you let it dry too soon, it's a little harder sometimes to move some of that color. But it depends on the paper you're using, depends on the inks that you're using, the markers that you're using. But like I said, I haven't played with these Korean markers too much, but they are very pigmented. There's a lot of color in there, so it doesn't take a lot to get that color to move. Once you start touching it with the water brush, it lifts and moves right away for you. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so once I have that done, basically just going to go through and color all the flowers. Now, you certainly don't have to do the watercolor part of it. You could just leave the marker colored on there. I like the watercolor part of it. It just gives a little extra texture. But I think that they all did. Ryan did an amazing job. Ryan had watercoloring, and he used his Distress re-inkers in a palette, in a Ranger palette, and he watercolored his. And then, of course, he added his grunge style to it at the end. He did a phenomenal job with making a 6x6 card. And Stacy, if you go back and watch the video, she really hasn't played with the pan pastels too much, and she got stuck with the pan pastels for hers, and she knocked it out of the park. I think she really did a great job. She did an A2 size card. Chow used sparkle markers, so there was a lot of shimmer to her. She did some heat embossing, and then did sparkle markers in hers. And Tracy did color pencils on hers. So each card was definitely unique to the artist, and that's what I like seeing with these kinds of challenges, is you might be drawn to one technique, and then you can look for inspiration to that artist on what they did and how they did it. Now, of course, they had sabotages along the way. You won't have sabotages unless you give yourself some sabotages. This is color gold 283. But the sabotages, I think, definitely made it a little more fun for everybody to watch. The sabotages I had them do, besides the requirements of using one medium and making a certain size, were that they had to fussy cut something and add it to the card. I was really looking to hope that somebody would have fussy cut one of these flowers and kind of popped it up, but they each fussy cut either the sentiment or the little bees that were included in the set. And then the second sabotage I gave them was they had to incorporate some kind of pattern paper, which really wasn't too hard. They didn't have their cards put together yet, so they incorporated that pattern paper towards the end when they were doing their matting layer on the card. But it was a really fun Stamp Wars to watch everybody, like I said, really focus and concentrate on what they were making for one stamp set, to have 4 different outcomes, and they were all beautiful. And right now in Pennsylvania, we are still dealing with some heavy snow, So it was nice to see warm images of sunflowers and think of, you know, late summer, fall days. So looking forward to that. All right, so I just took the gold and kind of went on the inside areas of the flowers, just again to give it some shadow. And again, going back in with the water brush to blend those colors together. Pull that gold into the canary yellow. And then it softens that line between the two colors. So they just blend beautifully. And what's nice is if you find an area that's not dark enough, you can always go in and add more marker to darken it up. And if it's too dark and you want to lighten it up, just add some water and then use your paper towel and you can lift that area wherever it's too dark. The water will resaturate the ink and you can lift it right out of there. Okay, I think our yellows are looking pretty good here. We can start adding some brown. Actually, I'm going to let the brown dry a little bit. Let the yellow dry before I add the brown. So let's go in and add some of our greenery with our sunflower stalks here. This is lime green. It's a good starting color, and then we'll go in and darken that up. And the artist has already drawn in the highlights, which would be in the middle. They've drawn in the shadows, which would be on each side. So coloring these images is pretty easy because the artist has already done all the hard work for you. And I'm just going to go, because these are such small areas, and color all the greenery in, and then I will go in and add the shadows with some darker colors. Okay, this one's called olive green. All right, perfect. So I'm just going to go in and shade, again, wherever the artist has drawn shadows, under the flowers, at the bottom of the stems, underneath the leaves. Just going to duplicate that. And you don't need a lot of color. A little bit goes a long way with these markers. They're very juicy. And same thing we did with the yellow. I'm just going in and coloring over the green and drawing from the darker area into the lighter area, just blending them together. And that'll give you your subtle highlights and shadows. I like this water brush because it doesn't put out too much water. It puts out just enough to get it where I'm going. There are some that I've tried where there's too much water, or there's not enough water, there's no control, but this particular water brush, this is an Arteza water brush, works really nicely. This is the one with the red handle. They have other ones that look like the Pentel Aquash ones. They leaked, so I don't like those, but this one with the red handle, the red lid, works out great. Okay, I think that looks good. And now we can go in and add our brown into the center. We can do a little bit of background color here. Then we're done. This is pretty easy. Okay, so for the brown, let's see here. We have sandstone. Got quite a few browns in this collection. Cinnamon, I think, is going to be too red. Let's try this sandstone. That's actually really nice. Okay. All right, and I just did part way through those sunflowers because we'll go in and we'll add a darker brown once we blend these out. So just like we did with all the other colors. If you don't have watercolor paper, the other paper I like to use is Bristol Smooth. It allows the ink to move on top a little bit smoother, especially when you're using some of the other markers that are out there, like the Arteza markers and the Zig markers. I like those on Bristol Smooth. All right, now this is cocoa, so I'm going in and just kind of adding this into the center so it's a little darker. See too much water on that spot. Just going to lift that right out. Okay, just tap those off a little. They were getting a little too wet. That looks pretty good. This one I lost a little bit of my color, so we're going to bring that color back in. Alright, we're going to give those a second to dry, and then for our background, we're just going to add some water into the background here. Being careful not to go too close into the flower. And do small sections at a time here, and I'm going to add some Arctic blue. Nice bright sunny day. I'm going to go in and add some water on these interior parts before I add any of the marker, because if it's too dry and I try to put the marker down in there, it won't move. So in these smaller areas, I'm going to move a little slower and make sure that I work in smaller areas. Wet the area, put the marker down, carefully blend that into the background before I move on to the next area, because if it's too dry and you put that marker down, it's a little difficult to blend out, and you'll be able to see your marker strokes, which we don't want. And I've got to be careful not to overlap into the yellow too much, because then we'll end up with green. I don't want any of that to smudge or bleed. And of course we'll cut this down to card panel size. Right now it's full 5.5 by 4.25, I believe, so it's full A2 size. So when we get closer to finishing, we'll cut it down. So I'm not too worried about the edges. You can also do this with ink smushing if you have any kind of water-based dye inks. You can do this with Distress inks. You can do this with Catherine Pooler inks, your Simon Hurley inks. You just smush them down on your mat or your non-stick mat or your glass mat, and then once that ink is available, you can lift it with your water pen and go in and color in where you want it to be colored. Now see, this is way too saturated in blue, so I'm going to just try to go in and lift some of that a little bit. There we go. So it's not so bright now. Okay, and then the last part is just to do a quick dry on there. Let me remove my brown around here. This is called ochre. I'm just going to go in on this big guy and give him a little bit more shadow. Just because he's the focal point sunflower here, so. Okay, so my question for you to comment in order to win one of the fabulous prizes from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. We have a couple of stamps. One person will win this actual stamp, and then they provided some other goodies. I actually have 2 die cutting machines. So if you are brand new to stamping and you don't have a die cutting machine and you would like one of these die cutting machines, one is specifically for die cutting and embossing folders, and one is like a mini purse. One is pre-owned, but it's very lightly used. The other one is still new in the box. So if you don't have a die cutting machine, it's not a big shot, it's a generic one, but for those of you that are just starting out, please comment that you would like to win one of the machines, and I'll be happy to UPS you one of those. And that's going to be for U.S. residents only. The stamp sets I will open up international because it is just a single stamp, so I will be able to ship those international. But I think I have three or four stamps to send out. I have the 2 machines to send out. But I want to know, what size card do you enjoy making? Do you normally make an A2 size card? Do you normally make a 5x7 card? Or do you make square cards? Or are slimline cards your jam? Because slimline has really been picking up speed here lately. So let me know what size cards you enjoy making. A2 slimline, 5x7, 6x6, and I will pull some random winners to get some random prizes. Now, if I do pull your name, I will do that on a future video. When I pull your name, you must email me at foilingsnobsclub@gmail.com with your address so that I can mail you one of the prizes. And we're going to dry this real quick, and then I'm going to add the "You Are My Sunshine" sentiment to it. So let me pause it while I dry. Okay, guys, I've dried the panel. I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/4 by 4. Stamp sentiment on here. I'm going to bring in my mini Misty for that. We're going to pull this stuffing out because it's a red rubber stamp. You are my sunshine. You guys are all my sunshine for helping out Stamp Wars and watching and supporting the FSC. You guys are amazing. I have the best subscribers. All right, and so since this is a rubber stamp, I'm going to close the door on it, and before I actually stamp it, I'm going to use a piece of acetate. This is just leftover acetate from other stamp sets. I'm going to put that right over, and I am going to go back in with my Midnight ink, my handy dandy handle, and just real quick, I'm going to stamp that over the acetate to make sure it's straight. That looks pretty good. So we can remove our acetate. We'll wipe that off. Save that for another day. And going to re-ink sentiment. There we go. You are my sunshine. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. All right, and then the final step is just to mount this to a card base. Because this is heavy-duty watercolor paper, I'm not going to mat it. I love it just the way that it is. Perfect. I'm going to use some art glitter glue because it is super fast drying glue, and it works really great on heavier cardstock like this. And there we are. You are my sunshine. Again, this is the follow-up video to Stamp Wars number 9. The stamp set is called Sunflower Sunshine. Our sponsor was Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. You can purchase this at their website at Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. Sunflower Sunshine is the name of the stamp. You can get 15% off with the code SW15. So SW15 gets you 15% off in their shop. They are in Maryland, so their shipping is pretty quick for those of you that are in the United States. And the discount code goes until Saturday, February 27th, 2021. So it is for 1 week. If you have any questions about anything I use, post them down below. I will also, like I said, link the actual Stamp Wars videos and the rest of the contestants to Stamp Wars. Make sure you go check out their videos for other ideas on how to use this beautiful stamp set. And comment down below, which size cards do you make more often? A2 size, which is what this is, a 5.5 by 4.25 card, square 6x6 cards, slimline cards, or 5x7 cards, and you will have a chance at winning a prize. Watch my future videos. Make sure you are subscribed with the bell clicked for notifications so you know when I announce the winners. And you guys will win a couple of Stampin' Up stamps, or sorry, not Stampin' Up. You will win a couple of Blue Knight Rubber stamps. I don't know why Stampin' Up came out. Blue Knight Rubber stamps, and some other fabulous prizes provided to us by Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.